So I got really fixated on this one thing. My space station was going to be completely self-sustaining in terms of resources. But to be perfectly self-sustaining in Minecraft, not just as a concept, I had to exploit the trading system, including the monumental task of getting all the essential enchantments. I compiled a list of 20, separated in pickaxe, sword, and armor bow, 10 each. I still had villagers in boats that escaped the quadruple iron farm that I built like 3 years ago and suddenly stopped working, so I had to go back to the crappy triple iron farm near the plateau that barely works anymore for the entirety of the end build. Seeing the enchantment trade hall finally completed was so intensely satisfying that I almost forgot how much of a pain getting there was. Villager 1 went in the minecart after a bit of hesitation, and just like that, the first part of the foundation of my worker colony in the end was complete. Just for a moment, I must have felt like it was too easy getting that villager over there. Feeling like half of what in my mind initially was the hardest part was done. So villager 2 was extremely rebellious, just wouldn't get in the end portal, escaped into the portal room, just would not get into the minecart, and when he did, proceeded to suffocate in a block. Villager number 3 got in the minecart immediately, which I like to see, rode all the way to the trading hall, and I was happy to be done moving villagers the long way from the plateau to the end, or at least I thought I was. But with villagers, things never seem to go according to plan. I think I accidentally hit one villager with my sword or axe in between recordings, killing it instantly. That seemed to be so frustrating of an experience that I entirely suppressed it from my memory. Round 4 went swimmingly though, as routine was starting to settle in. As soon as I finally had 2 villagers back together, they became the Adam and Eve of the End space station, as I turned the glass dome into a makeshift breeder that would go through many variations and start the nerve-wracking interaction with lots of bats in the end that only went wrong once. Adam and Eve started producing offspring immediately, some of which would climb up the large stairs and immediately throw themselves off them, realizing their miserable fate, so I had to baby-proof those to prevent villager suicide. As most of them had grown up, I started separating them using boats, gates, and workstations as bait, and grinding for the first round of enchantments one by one. Mainly armor and bow stuff, since that was easier to get. I didn't record any of that since it was just the same thing over and over again, and still pretty easy at that point. I didn't record getting the zombie to infect them either, but it wasn't hard to find one in the caves surrounding the stronghold and lure it into the end. Once they were all zombified and trapped in boats, I went for the first of many rounds of villager curing. I was still quite nervous, but the curing would end up being the easiest part of handling the villagers. Days of more breeding, moving villagers, and grinding enchantments followed. And one of those villagers that I accidentally assigned an enchantment that I already had a villager for tragically died after sticking his head into lava. At some point, the only enchantment still missing was the stupidly rare sharpness 5, but I got lucky and found it after a couple of hours, even on camera. I found another cave-dwelling zombie and dragged it into the end to infect villagers for the massive second round of curing. This time I would keep it for future curings. Don't know why I didn't keep that in mind before I killed the first Jimbo. The second Jimbo infected all the final librarians according to plan and was put away in a glass box for future endeavors. The only way to get them into their final circular enclosure was by moving the boats with pistons, during which I encountered a weird glitch where the piston seemingly couldn't decide which way to extend to, so it went both ways, leaving behind an indestructible piston arm. I put lecterns around the place so they have workstations, and I thought I was done, but far from it. However, before I realized that I put the other librarians in their enclosure before I cured them and let the zombie go wild. I had forgotten that the stairs right next to the villager enclosure were gone, and one of the librarians immediately took his chance to make an escape. Luckily, I managed to get him home safely without much trouble. Then somehow Brandon climbed out of the enclosure and over to Brandon, and after trying to get him out for a while, I just decided they both had to go, since they were inhibiting the villagers' movements as well. During the very final part of decorating the villager enclosure, I realized they weren't restocking, which is a huge problem. I first tried throwing double the amount of lecterns in there so they could more easily pathfind to one and claim it. When that didn't work, rearranged them more towards the middle and replaced every single one multiple times, separated them into 3 groups so they would always have direct line of sight with the lecterns, and as nothing seemed to work and I even accidentally killed a villager, recorded some live commentary in frustration. I am so fucking done with this villager shit. A couple hours earlier, I realized that I have 2 fortune 3 villagers in here. I wanted to kill one of them. I wanted to kill this one with a lava bucket, and I did. But the lava slipped under here because I didn't place any glass panes below. So the lava killed the villager right next to it, which was Sweeping Edge 3. I'm beyond frustrated right now. Like, I got Billy and Jean out of their chamber right below the stairs to breed one more villager, so then I can go through the whole the whole librarian thing again to get sweeping edge 3, and I didn't even misplace a bed. I like placed another bed, like the third one, and it didn't place, so I placed it again and double clicked and it blew up and it blew me up. And so now I'm gonna have to repair this, and gotta put in a couple of hours to get sweeping edge 3. It's gonna take a while because I literally got every other enchantment that is like necessary. Then I'm gonna place the lecterns to hope they actually fucking start restocking. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what the hell is this? Oh god, I don't wanna fucking play this game anymore, dude. Oh no. I'm so fucking done with this. Ah! This was supposed to be easy. So I wanted them to have a nice life. But now I'm gonna have to enslave them like I always did before. Like, what the hell? Like, I was pretty much done with it, but then another problem arose, and now I need to deal with that problem with more gambling, and I just... It's been a rough road, but the hard first half of the trading hall was complete. And for some reason I assumed it would be smooth sailing from now on. Until I tried breeding the leftover savannah outfitted villagers for the other half of the trading hall. I provided them shelter, stacks upon stacks of bread, spare beds, plenty of space, even jobs, blocked their line of sight to their essentially enslaved brethren, AFK'd for a couple of nights for them to rest, reset and settle in, and still they wouldn't breed. Turns out only villager offspring with biome neutral outfits or Adam and Eve can breed. So I got them out of the stairs and bred them. To this day I couldn't figure out why some of their offspring just weren't breeding. Also, as I removed the beds from the sterile villagers, I observed this interesting effect of them continuously reclaiming each other's beds when there were only 2 left. After trapping the final 20 villagers in boats, 10 in savannah outfits and 10 in neutral outfits, I went for the final 2 rounds of villager curing. The savannah villagers with their funky red outfits would mainly be farmers, and 2 leather workers and 2 shepherds, ready to be squeezed out for emeralds with the help of farms that haven't been built yet. The dull outfitted villagers would become armorers, toolsmiths and weaponsmiths for full sets of diamond armor and tools, as well as butchers for food and clerics for unlimited lapis and glowstone. Creating this video out of the couple of hours of recordings that I had took quite a while, but went more smooth than the mess that was last video, and honestly was way more fun than the actual villager fuckery, and it was premium procrastination. If you procrastinated by watching this video all the way through, I honestly can't blame you. Thanks for sticking around and thanks for watching. I promise next video will just be a building video.